On my birthday, my parents abandoned me once again for my sister. They told me I was strong, but they didn't know it would be the last time. I walked away, changed my life, and 10 years later, when they wanted me back, it was already too late. Emma, don't pretend this is only about your birthday. My mother said those words while I was standing in my parents' kitchen, holding the cake box I had picked up from the bakery that morning. The candles were still inside the bag. The frosting had gotten slightly damaged while I carried it from my car to the house in the rain because I had been holding it so carefully. I was 32 years old. I thought that, for the first time in years, my family was actually going to celebrate my birthday. But my father looked down at his coffee and said, "Your sister needs us right now." I looked at Rachel, who was sitting across from me at the kitchen table. There wasn't even a hint of embarrassment on her face. She simply crossed her arms and said, "I don't understand why everyone is making such a big deal out of this." I looked at her. "Because it's my birthday." She let out a long breath. "Emma, are you serious? You're 32 years old. You're acting like a child." I placed the cake box on the counter. "Wait. What exactly are you asking me to do?" My mother reached for my hand. "Your sister is going through a difficult time. She has to leave her apartment and she needs somewhere to stay." I looked at everyone. Then I looked back at Rachel. "No." The word came out before I even had time to think. Rachel laughed. "Excuse me. No. I'm not giving up my apartment so you can live there." The kitchen went silent. My father leaned back in his chair. "Emma, it's temporary." "Temporary?" I pointed toward the cake. "I came here because you invited me over for my birthday. I didn't come here to hear that I have to change my entire life because Rachel made another bad decision." Rachel slammed her hand on the table. "Another bad decision? You're really saying that?" I looked at her. Did I say something wrong? My mother immediately stepped between us. "Both of you stop." But she wasn't looking at Rachel. She was looking at me. And that was the thing I remembered the most. Not Rachel's anger. Not my father's silence. But the way my mother looked at me like I was the problem. Rachel stood up. "You always do this." I frowned. "Do what?" "You always act like you're better than everyone." I almost laughed. "Because I don't want to give up my home?" "No. Because you think your life matters more." I stared at her. For a few seconds nobody said anything. The sound of rain hitting the kitchen window filled the room. My father cleared his throat. "Emma, your sister has 2 children. And I'm her sister, not her emergency plan." My mother's expression changed. "After everything we've done for you." I cut her off. "Everything." My voice became quieter. "Mom, I spent my entire youth trying to prove that I deserved a place in this family." Nobody answered. I picked up my purse. My father stood up. "Where are you going?" I looked at the cake sitting on the counter. "I'm leaving." "But it's your birthday." I nodded. "Exactly. That's why." I walked out. And that was the last birthday I spent with my family. At least that's what I thought at the time. My name is Emma Carter. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. My parents were Michael and Linda Carter, and my older sister was Rachel. Growing up, everyone always said, "You 2 sisters are lucky to have each other." But they never saw what happened inside our home. Rachel was always the one who needed something. She needed help with homework. She needed money for college. She needed our parents to fix the problems she created. And I was always told to be understanding. When I was 17 years old, I saved money from my part-time job because I wanted to buy my first laptop. 2 weeks before I bought it, Rachel needed a new phone. My mother said to me, "Emma, you're responsible. Rachel needs it more." I was standing in the hallway holding the envelope with the money I had earned. I said, "But I worked for this money myself." My mother smiled. "You'll understand when you're older." I got older. I understood. But I didn't like it. After college, I got my own apartment and started working in marketing. I wasn't rich. My life wasn't perfect. I simply learned how to take care of myself. Rachel married Brian 2 years after my graduation. At first, everyone was happy. Then the problems started. Brian kept changing jobs. Rachel spent money like tomorrow was guaranteed. Every few months there was another emergency. A car repair. A bill. A school expense for the kids. And every single time my parents called me, "Emma, can you help?" I always did. Not because I wanted to, but because I was tired of constantly having to prove I wasn't selfish. Then my 32nd birthday came. The apartment situation wasn't even the first thing Rachel wanted from me. A week earlier she had called. Emma, I need a favor. I was sitting in my car outside Target. What kind of favor? Can I stay with you for a few months? I closed my eyes. Rachel. Don't start. I'm not starting anything. I'm just saying I only have one bedroom. You're alone. That sentence bothered me. You're saying that like my life doesn't matter because I don't have children. Rachel became quiet. Then she said, "Wow. Okay." I knew that tone. The tone she used when she wanted me to feel guilty. A few days later my parents invited me over for dinner. I should have known something was wrong. My mother never made my favorite chocolate cake unless she was trying to soften bad news. That wasn't a birthday dinner. It was a decision that had already been made without me. After that night I stopped answering anyone's calls. For 3 days my phone kept ringing. My mother. My father. Wait. Then I received a message from Rachel. You embarrassed us in front of everyone. I stared at the screen. I tried writing a response. Then deleted it. I wrote again. Then deleted it. Finally I put my phone away. That was when I made my decision. I was done trying to prove myself to people. Over the next few months I focused on my own life. I changed jobs. I started saving more money. I traveled. I built friendships that weren't based on what I could do for someone else. And slowly I stopped feeling guilty. Then almost 10 years later I received a voicemail. It was from my father. His voice didn't sound the same. He sounded tired. Emma, please call me back. Your mother and I need to talk to you. I almost ignored it. But for some reason I called him back. Hi, Dad. There was silence for a moment. Then he said, your mother isn't doing well. I sat up straight. What happened? She needs surgery. I looked out the window. Okay. He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said, Emma, we need your help. I already knew. What kind of help? Silence. Then he said, financial help. I gave a small laugh. Not because it was funny, because it was familiar. How much? About $40,000. I didn't say anything. My father continued. You're doing well now. The same sentence. The same assumption. I was still the responsible daughter. The one everyone expected to fix things. Dad. Yes. Where is Rachel? There was silence on the other end. She's dealing with her own problems. I smiled. Of course she was. I asked one question. Did you ask her for help first? My father didn't answer. And that was my answer. 1 week later I learned the truth. And that truth changed everything. My cousin Jessica called me. We hadn't been close for years. Emma, I don't know if I should tell you this. What? She was quiet for a moment. Your parents sold their house. I couldn't speak for a few seconds. What? They sold it 6 months ago. Why? Jessica slowly said. Because Rachel and Brian had a business loss. I stayed silent. What business? Some kind of investment. I don't know all the details. But your parents used their retirement savings to help them. I sat there holding my phone. My father was asking me for $40,000. But they had already spent their own savings on Rachel. Not because they had no other option. Because they chose one. And they had always chosen her. I didn't call my parents immediately. I waited. Because for the first time I wasn't making a decision out of emotion. I was thinking. 2 days later I called my father. Why didn't you tell me about the house? Silence. Then he asked. Who told you? That doesn't matter. Emma, things aren't that simple. No. They actually are. He sighed. Your sister needed help. I closed my eyes. She always does. That's not fair. I quietly laughed. Fair. My voice shook slightly. Dad, you missed my college graduation because Rachel needed you to drive her somewhere. That was years ago. You forgot my birthday dinner because Rachel was upset about her boyfriend. Emma. You asked me to give up my apartment because Rachel needed a place to stay. He became silent. Then I said, and now you want me to save the family that always left me behind for her. My father whispered. That's not what happened. I answered. That's exactly what happened. I didn't give them the money. I didn't fight. I didn't insult them. I simply said no. 3 months later my mother called. She was crying. Emma, please. I sat quietly. We're family. I looked around my apartment. The life I had built myself. Mom, I spent years waiting for you to choose me too. She started crying harder. I'm sorry. It was the first apology I had ever heard from her. But it came 10 years too late. I had already learned how to live without them. I said, I believe you're sorry. But I can't keep paying for mistakes I never made. After that, we didn't speak for a long time. Today I'm 42 years old. I still live in Ohio. I have a career I'm proud of. I have people around me who know my worth without asking what I can give them. My relationship with my parents is different now. We talk sometimes, but the family we used to have is gone. Rachel eventually apologized too. It was a short phone call. No excuses. Just an apology. I accepted it. But accepting something doesn't mean forgetting it. My last birthday taught me something I will never forget. The people who love you shouldn't make you fight for a place in their lives. And sometimes walking away isn't about punishing someone. Sometimes it is the only way to stop letting them hurt you. If this story moved you or made you think differently about family, sacrifice, and self-worth, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing for more emotional stories. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Your time, support, and kindness mean a lot to us, and we truly appreciate having you here.